Hey, welcome back to Learning Self-Reliance. My name is Roland, and today I'm going to do an experiment. Uh, I've got some fire starter ingredients here, which is just these disc facial wipe things. These are just cotton discs, and I've got some wax here. So I just went to the dollar store, picked up a couple of these little glass candle holders, a couple of candles, and some of these cotton rounds for about $3 or $4. So what I'm going to do is mix and match a few of these ingredients to see if I can improve my fire starters at all. I've looked around online and I didn't really see that many things of people mentioning this. I didn't see any videos on YouTube. So I'm going to guess that this doesn't work super well just right off the bat, but I want to give it a shot anyways to experiment to improve my fire starter. So right here I've got some magnesium shavings. So these are just like the little magnesium rods you get that you scrape off the silver kind of metal looking bars that you get. You scrape them off and then you light them on fire with a ferro rod and it starts your fire. So these are the same thing right here, but these are kind of more shavings of it. And I've also got some powder right here. This is a small amount of powder, but it should be enough for this test. So what I'm going to do, and I've also got some beeswax here. So this is beeswax, and this is just regular old paraffin wax from this candle. So I'm just going to dip these in and then sprinkle on these two different ingredients and see if I can improve these fire starters at all. So in my previous video, I tested out different amounts of dipping for these fire starters here. And I don't think that, I think that a single dip was really the best dip amount of dips. I did 1, 2, and 3 dips. 3 dips, it was just so hard to get it lit. 2, it kind of helped a little bit, but it didn't really burn much longer. I think having a thinner one for lightness and since it's a single use, you don't really need all that long of a burn time anyways. This single disc by itself dipped in wax is going to burn for about 5 minutes. So I'm going to dip this in beeswax and a different one and some paraffin wax and sprinkle on magnesium powder and magnesium shavings here. Forgot one crucial piece of equipment, and that is a toothpick to dip this into the wax. So I'm going to start off with just dipping this straight into the wax. So I usually just poke it through a little hole on the side here in the little facial wipe thing. And I'm just going to dip this in this beeswax, soak it, and then I'm going to pull it out. Okay. Then I'm going to do the same thing, but with paraffin wax over here. Just poke it through this hole, give it a dip. There we go. Something like that. So now that this one's starting to cool down a bit, I want to get these metal shavings into here before it gets too much colder. Should have opened this beforehand, but that's okay. So I'm just going to sprinkle some of these on like this. This is just, again, this is just magnesium, nothing special about it. I'm going to push it into here, kind of like that, just to try to get it to adhere to the wax. And I might have to do this before. I'll try that out on this paraffin wax guy that I'm going to do after here. So I'm just pressing this stuff into the wax, trying to get it to stick here. That looks really good. And a lot of this is going to fall off, but that's just fine. And again, this is just an experiment. If I want to perfect my technique later, I can do that. So now I'm just going to dip this guy again, or a new guy right here. You know what, let's try this first. Let's take some of this magnesium shavings and kind of just try to rub it into the cotton here, get it to kind of stick, and then we'll dip that. See if maybe a different order of operations here might help it. Okay, we'll flip it over. We'll do the back side of this, kind of rub it around like this. Get some magnesium on there. So we're not getting a whole ton of magnesium to stick, which really isn't a surprise. I'm going to try the powder out in a minute. So that's about as much as we're getting to stick right now. I'm going to poke this, and let's dip it. So I went outside a little bit and I just played with some of these, this magnesium here, and I really wasn't that impressed with it. It didn't seem to burn all that well, but I think embedding it in the cotton here is going to help out with that. All right, so let's do another one of those, but with the beeswax this time. Kind of get it inside the cotton here. So I'm just crushing this into here. And later, yeah, I mean, this is a lot of waste going on right now, but that'll be all right. I can get it all processed, prettied up later. Okay. Got some magnesium in there. Pull this little bit of extra wax off here. And as far, I looked around online because I was curious about burning this kind of stuff inside. I wasn't exactly sure where I wanted to test it. And it doesn't sound like my beeswax is getting pretty cold here. It's going to stick a little bit more. So this one might burn a little bit longer because it's got a bit of extra beeswax sticking to it. All right, I don't want to mess up the experiment too much, so I'm just going to shove that stuff to the side. All right, there we go. So this beeswax I got from my bees. My wife and I are beekeepers, and this is about all the wax we've got left from this year. All right, now let's kind of shove these guys to the side. These ones are kind of dried off pretty good. And I only did 1/2 of this, which is fine enough for the experiment. You might want to do both sides later, but that'll be just fine, I think. So now I'm going to try out the powder here. So what I'm going to do, I don't really think I can grind the powder in beforehand. I don't really think it's going to stick. So I'm going to pull this wax off of here, stab through this guy, and we're going to do the magnesium powder like this. Okay. Drain that off. It does drip a little bit after. I'm going to want to get right on here with this powder because it's not going to stick the best, I don't think. So I'm getting right on here. It's quite a bit. This looks a lot better. It looks much more soaked. I'm not sure. I do think that this magnesium is going to have some wind resistance that the wax itself alone may not have. All right, let's try and get this beeswax done. My beeswax here is looking really cold. It's not really sticking very well. So I have to dip it a couple of times, mash it around a bit to get it to stick. Okay, there we go. Shove this over to the side. That one's not very good at all. That's okay. I really don't have much beeswax, and I wasn't expecting to get very many of these beeswax guys out of here. Now we'll take some of this powder, sprinkle it on the top here, spread it around like that. All right. I'm excited. I've had this kind of idea floating around in my head, like, hey, what if you took magnesium and just kind of toss it on these fire starters, just right off the bat, just see how they perform. So here's what we got. We got these two that we sprinkled the magnesium shavings on after. We've got these two right here that we dipped it after we put the magnesium on, and these two are magnesium powder. So I'm gonna let this stuff dry out, cool down, and then we'll take them outside and kind of see how they start with a ferro rod and how good they are with wind resistance. All right, we are outside, and I've got my fire discs here. We're going to start off with, I think we'll just start off with the paraffin wax discs right here first. We'll try the beeswax after this. So I think first thing I want to try is to see if something like this, maybe we could start it with just a ferro rod as is. I really don't think this is going to work, but I want to give it a shot first before we break these apart and then start that with a ferro rod. So I think I'll start off with this shredded guy here. This is what we placed on after the fact. So these, well, we sprinkled on after the fact. This one is the powder we put on after. And this is the one that we rubbed it in beforehand and then dipped it. Okay, I'm going to bust out my ferro rod here. Let's see what we can do. We'll give it a few good sparks right on the top of this, and we'll see how it works. Accidentally hit the thing. Oh, come on. Come on. Got a little bit of the magnesium there. I think I'll give it a couple more shots with this. Ooh, there we go. No, that went right out. All right, that's kind of expected. Let's try it out with the powder here. It is a pretty windy day, which is good. Good day to test this kind of stuff on. All right, we've gotten quite a few good sparks on that. That didn't work. And I'm going to just not even bother with this one because it's covered in so much wax. There's no way this could work. All right, let's go ahead and shred this one a little bit. So I'm just going to break it open on the side here, kind of expose the inside. So I have noticed in doing this with the new paraffin wax candle that I was using some lamp oil before, and I really didn't see much of a difference with it, but now that I test it like this, I can kind of see. It breaks apart in chunks like this rather than kind of shredding like it does with the oil. So the lamp oil seems to soften it, makes it easier to shred. Always accidentally hit these things. And I don't want to try the pull method, kind of hold it down and pull like this because it shreds my knuckles on this cement here. Come on. Surprised this hasn't taken yet. Gotten a couple of really good sparks right on that stuff. I might need to shred this just even more than this. I really think that the lamp oil makes a much bigger difference than I thought. I really think that the lamp oil made such a big difference with this. All right, well, I think it's enough testing with that. I'm thinking the lamp oil makes a much bigger difference than I thought. So now what we're going to do is use the nice standby lighter. Come on. It's going to be difficult in this wind. Got a small flame here. I'm trying to start up this side as well. Come on. Put it out by moving it, but I need it to get the rest of this lit. So far what I'm thinking is this magnesium doesn't make much of a difference, but the lamp oil makes a big difference. I can shred this a bit more, kind of get this stuff in more of a pile, which is not really what I intended at all with this stuff. Normally I just kind of break off a corner. I guess you can't really, break off a corner of a circle. So I got some of this magnesium started, and that didn't really seem to make much of a difference. Come on. There's a flame in there. It's probably not showing up on camera, but there's a very small flame in there. Come on. And this is not what a fire starter should be. I shouldn't be struggling with it like this when I've got a lighter. Come on. I'm going to open this up a little bit, give it some more air. There we go. Okay, that's better. So not a surprise that it needed a bit more air there. Okay, that guy's going. I'm going to use this flame here, and I just want to see what happens when we get the top of this magnesium. My fingers are quite cold, so I can't really feel if I'm burning or anything yet. There's no flames, the magnesium's not taking. So you can kind of see some of the magnesium going every once in a while, but it really doesn't make much of a difference. Okay, let's go ahead and set this guy in here, get it lit, get this guy lit as well. These just, all right, this one's actually burning. All right, I'm gonna take it to the side. See, this one's also burning, I think. So I'm gonna move it to the side here. Okay. So we got these three going. This one's burning much bigger because it's got so much more surface area. but it's going to burn down a lot faster. So I'm going to angle, oop, it's really hot. I'm going to angle this guy to the side so that when the wind blows kind of on this direction, which is the predominant angle, it's going to keep going around the edge is what I'm hoping for. This one's going to do the same thing. All right, now that we got those going, I think we can safely say that I won't be able to start these as is with the ferro rod. But I do want to try breaking these apart. Oh, this one didn't get enough beeswax. So this is the one I had a lot less beeswax on. So that one will probably light pretty easily. I'm going to go with this other one instead here. This is probably going to light pretty easy, but I don't think it's going to last as long. So this one has got a lot of cotton, untreated. There's no wax on it. So I'm betting this one's going to take up pretty easy, but it's not going to burn very long. Something like that. Get it kind of going towards the middle there. Yeah, I can smell the difference. I can smell cotton just burning up. Yep, that didn't stay. And this one has got some magnesium on the top. And that magnesium is not doing anything. All right. And this is the one that we rubbed the magnesium in first and then dipped it. Let's give this one a shot. Just see if the magnesium itself starts up, even though I'm thinking it won't. It does have some wax on it, so it could act as a sort of wick really quickly, because it is magnesium. Might make a difference. I'm not seeing it light at all. Come on. These other ones are doing really well. Man. Alright. This guy also needs to be shredded. The beeswax is nice because it's very gummy compared to the other stuff. So I can break it up. It's not as hard, and so it's almost like I don't need the lamp oil, but I think I needed a lot more beeswax to really treat these properly. Man, this is just not catching these flames. Yeah, and if you really needed this, this would be pretty unacceptable. There we go. That one's starting to go in the middle there. Let's give that a minute to see if this one keeps going. So far, the wind is going pretty strong, but they're all staying on fire, which is good. And this one is just, it's got a thin skin of beeswax here. Let's go ahead and try to get this one going. You can kind of see some light going on because there's a little couple of magnesium start going on the one underneath here. Yeah, I don't know if you can see that, but some of this magnesium's taking, but it's not spreading it around like I'd hoped. Come on. There we go, we got the edge of this. All right, good. Let's go from there. We kind of aim it to the side, let the wind push it that direction. All right, well, I think I'm going to call this experiment done already. I think that I got the information I wanted out of this, and that is that magnesium on top or rubbed into the cotton fibers really doesn't make much of a difference. However, I did learn that the lamp oil that I'd used previously was helping a lot more than I'd thought, and that I really need to include that in the future. So I made a few just to test out with just some of this paraffin, and I think I'm just going to chuck them because they're so cheap, and I will redo them. I'll do some new ones with lamp oil. I did not realize how much of a difference that lamp oil makes. I'm going to run inside real quick, grab some magnesium, and just kind of show you guys how the magnesium behaves just by itself in case you haven't seen a pile of magnesium go. So right here's my little bag of magnesium. I'm just going to take a big clump of it here. something like that. And we're going to start that up. And you guys are going to kind of see how it burns pretty brightly, but it doesn't go deeper down. All right, you can see that the first one we started is getting pretty low, but that is a nice long burn time, which is what I love about these. Kind of hard to get this going. Come on. Try and fluff it up a bit, get the side. And it's just not. Let me try out the ferro rod on this. There we go. All right, so it burns really brightly. It's probably not showing that well on camera, but I really can't stare at it with my eyes because it hurts. But look how it spreads and how bright it is. I mean, that is hot, really hot. I mean, compared to these, that is so hot. But it's only really burning the outer layer, and it's kind of done now. It's going to smolder like this a little bit, but I'm not really getting any flames off of it. And that's about it. I can probably stir this up a bit and it'll kind of flame up a bit more, get a bit brighter. And this stick burned really well. So this is hot inside of it, but I think with the burn time on this versus these other fire starters here, that I would much rather have these wax discs than to have a pile of this magnesium here. Even though with this wind here, it actually is burning pretty good. So I tried this out with less wind, and it didn't stay as lit as this. That wind is really helping it to keep warm in that core right there, which is pretty cool. And I would appreciate any comments with anybody if you got some critiques on how to, maybe you've seen somebody use some magnesium on these fire starters or something similar. And if there's some secret to really getting magnesium to take a bit better, but I've never been impressed with it. And it's too finicky because it can blow away so easily. But these ones are so heavy that the wind can't blow them away. All right, this guy over here went out, which really kind of surprises me that that went out like that. I kind of try to get it to go that way, but it's not really working. I think you kind of get the point about how this all works, and I got to say I'm surprised with the result. I expected to learn a bit more about magnesium, but I think I kind of understand just from these simple tests some of the basics about it. And I'm sure there's some more things I can learn, but I really learned how important that lamp oil is for making these fire discs succeed. You really need that softness inside of your lamp oil or inside of the disc so that you can break it apart easier. It opens up and exposes the cotton fibers much better than I'd previously expected that it would. With the paraffin wax on here, it's so hard and it's so difficult to open it up that you end up with a clean slice through it, which isn't conducive to creating exposing those fibers that you really need to catch a ferro rod spark or lighter and just get it going right off the start. All right, I went inside and grabbed one of the fire discs I've made previously. This has got quite a bit of lamp oil in it. So I want to show you guys the difference that I'm talking about here, if you haven't seen my other videos. So look, as I break this apart, the fibers inside get exposed. That makes all the difference. So now, I'm going to put that right there. And we'll hit that with a ferro rod here. Oh, maybe I'll just hit it with a knife. See that? That was a bit better. Oh, there we go. Now it's starting to pick up. Oh, that burned out. I might need to expose a bit more than that. Something like that. And I'll get it so the wind blows kind of into it. Exposes more fibers. But the difference is here, yeah, I'm breaking this up, but I've got a lot more fibers exposed. I hit the other one. Oh, well, that kind of ruined the test a bit there. I'm excited to see how this one does with some wind though. That'll be a good thing to just toss on this video here. So I'm sure I could have gotten that started with my ferro rod, but it's a bit late for that. All right, well that's looking good, guys. I think I'll end the video here. Strange lesson learned today is that magnesium on top of these paraffin fire discs here really doesn't make much of a difference, but lamp oil apparently makes a big difference getting the initial flame started. Needs a lot less ferro rod use, needs a lot less of that lighter to get it going. Well, thanks for watching, guys, and please remember to like and subscribe.